Hello there, I'm Noel Hacegaba, Deputy Executive Director at the Port of Long Beach. Welcome to Supply Chain Insight, where we explore the latest trends, issues, and news in the supply chain with industry experts, influencers, and leaders. Our objective is to bring you the insight you need to help you keep your cargo moving. Now, today's business leaders expect a lot from their supply chains: efficiency, velocity, flexibility, cost management, and operational excellence, just to name a few. Supply Chain Insight brings the supply chain to you, one segment at a time. And together we explore new approaches and innovative solutions that will help you and the Port of Long Beach deliver greater value to our customers and partners. And speaking of our partners, today I am joined by Tom Williams, Group Vice President of Consumer Products at BNSF. And he's joining Supply Chain Insight to give us a pulse of rail in America. Tom, thank you for joining Supply Chain Insight. Let me begin by thanking you and your colleagues at BNSF for everything you continue to do to help us through this crisis. Like everyone else in the supply chain, the Class 1 railroads have taken some extraordinary steps to clear the backlog across the rail system. But before you tell us about that, why don't you give us a sense of the rail market as it stands now?
Thanks, Noel, and it's really good to be with you today, even if it's virtually. For the full year here in 2021, we've seen very strong intermodal demand, and we're on pace to move more volume than we did in the industry peak year of 2018. And I'm extremely proud of the hard work and dedication our employees continue to put forward to support our customers. However, in the here and now, we have seen a shift away from international IPI shipments. Our Southern California international volumes were 44% lower in October than they were in May of this year. And the result is that there's a significant amount of unused capacity to support marine containers moving inland. So we stand ready, and we do anticipate a shift back to utilize those assets, which would help mitigate some of the congestion through Southern California.
Tom, that's excellent. And I can tell you that here at the port, we feel exactly what you just described. Tell us, what solutions has BNSF been able to provide for your customers?
Yeah, at the highest level, we've added capacity to our operations. We've added manpower at our inland intermodal facilities across our network, and we've increased our lift equipment by more than 20%. We're utilizing off-site parking for both inbound and outbound shipments at our intermodal hubs to help facilitate the continued unloading of trains for faster equipment turns, and we have added intermodal well cars to our fleet. We've also worked really closely with our carriers and customers on a case-by-case basis to find the right solutions that fit their supply chain needs. And at certain locations, we've collaborated with our carrier partners to streamline train loading by having units delivered trackside so that they can be immediately loaded onto the train and thereby eliminate the need for additional handling within the hub, which ultimately helps improve the throughput of the intermodal facility. And then finally, we've improved our digital integration with enhanced APIs at our intermodal connection points with carriers to improve the interface we have with them. And then in the Chicago region, the last thing I would add is that we're partnering with our connecting rail carriers in the east to increase steel wheel offerings to reduce congestion at those intermodal gateway points.
You know, that's excellent, Tom, and I can tell you that when you look at where things stand today at the port and you compare that to where we were in the spring, all of these efforts and solutions that you just described are making a significant difference. And it just speaks to the power of coordination and some of this alignment that you're pursuing along with the customers in the trenches. So excellent work on your part. So speaking of the customer, what else can the customer or the port do to help alleviate congestion in your view?
Well, the Port of Long Beach has been a leader in supporting the push to 24/7 operations to help optimize the collective throughput of all of us who are participating in these supply chains. And so we're very supportive of the Accelerate Cargo initiative that the Port of Long Beach is helping champion. And we followed that up, as you know, with our own program, offering a $50 incentive for ocean carriers that are in-gating freight in Los Angeles on a Saturday and Sunday, and that'll continue throughout the rest of this year. Together, boosting collaborative 24/7 supply chain operations is something we know will help reduce the current backlog. And we also recognize that IPI volumes for ocean containers, when they're maximized, there were some bottlenecks inland, but as I mentioned before, there's been such a shift away from IPI to where we have no bottlenecks now and a surplus of cars. So getting that right balance back and having that in the mix of cargo that's coming through the Southern California ports, we think is very important. And we'd much rather have a little bit of risk of some inland bottlenecks if it means we can address the bigger bottleneck in Southern California right now.
You know, Tom, like I like to say, the supply chain is typically invisible. No one really sees it or even thinks about it. But when you have the backlogs that you're seeing at the ports, for example, it really surfaces a lot of these issues that, thanks to BNSF and leading with 24/7 and what we're doing here at the Port of Long Beach by expanding hours of operation. Glad to hear that that's making a difference. And like I like to tell our customers, there isn't a single switch to activate the entire supply chain 24/7, but this is an important switch, and the railroads have been leading on that front for decades, and we certainly recognize and appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit more about business opportunities. What does the transload market look like from your side? I mean, is this affecting the gates or equipment supply at Hobart or San Bernardino? And is transload the answer to terminal congestion in your view?
Yeah, if you look, transloads have moderated slightly versus IPI shipments during the pandemic, and we're now at a point where we're seeing that shift back. And we do believe that structurally, transloading is going to continue to grow faster over time than IPI. So our equipment supply and our hubs are in good position in Southern California to support that growth. And our domestic network is very fluid right now, and we continue to see good operations with a good volume ramp up as we approach domestic parcel peak. So we're in good position to support transloading. As we said before, having a good mix and optimizing all capacity outlets really is important, but transloading is an important component of that.
And Tom, we certainly here at the Port of Long Beach are planning towards even more IPI in the future as we invest aggressively in our rail capacity within our confines. Let's talk a little bit more about IPI. How has the capacity for IPI traffic changed over the past few months? And what is your message to the customers on that?
Well, even though volume's moderated, we've clearly seen capacity come on to support stronger IPI volumes and getting back to where we were in the summer. Our network, it was well documented the capacity that we added at LPC in Chicago and in the Memphis area. A real key, though, in supporting IPI volume is that all of the physical capacity that's deployed is effectively utilized. We know that the capacity that the industry had going into this year from cars, hub capacity, chassis, was enough to handle strong volumes as long as all of those assets were turning at historic levels of velocity. And we know that better technology integration at intermodal handoff points is another thing that will help ensure that these resources are better utilized. And I think we've made really good strides in that regard this year as well. So, I would just say that as we think about positioning for a return of stronger IPI volumes, we're in very good shape to handle that going forward.
Well, Tom, that's great to hear. This brings us to our final question. What does BNSF see on the horizon for rail?
Well, throughout the year, we've kept a close eye on the changing economic conditions, and we've collaborated closely with customers so that we stay informed about their business, and that helps us position resources in response to strong volumes. Our key focus is to grow with our customers, and we're going to continue to build on our strong foundation of investing for growth. As you know, we've made significant investments over decades to expand the capacity of our network that connects the West Coast ports to major inland networks. And those investments really do play a key role in how we're able to offer the fastest intermodal route between Southern California and the Midwest. And our investments over time demonstrate our commitment to support increasing demand for intermodal service. And so those investments include a structural investment in our transcontinental main line, double and triple tracking certain segments, as well as investments in the endpoints at our hubs and in our rolling stock to support intermodal growth. And so we'll continue that, and we'll continue to position to grow this intermodal network over the long haul.
Makes perfect sense to me, Tom. Well, Tom, thanks so much again for joining me today and sharing your insights to our audience. Thank you for joining us, and see you again soon for another episode of Supply Chain Insight, brought to you by the Port of Choice, the Port of Long Beach.